Right, let's do it then. The other Worlds team, obviously. This is the sad segment, because even though it's a Worlds team, we should be like, wow, let's celebrate them. It's like, these motherfuckers lost 2 best of 5, 0-3, and just went home. Like, they literally could have not turned up, and the result would be the same effectively. So, you know what, boys? I'm sorry, I'm not that hyped that Rogue squad of Worlds. Like, that's a bit depressing to me. So let's talk a bit about the Rogue dilemma here, Wicked. So, right, when I had some of these players on my shows, it went like this, right? Inspired sort of was willing to admit, like, maybe we did choke in spring or whatever, you know. Larson is totally in denial, dude. Like, he just thinks it's not the case at all, and that's like a media, you know, Reddit narrative or whatever. And then I got the feeling Odoamne was sort of between the two, because on the one hand, let's be real, like, he's actually never won before, so I'm sure he, like, thinks some of these games he should win, but I also got the feeling he was just sort of like, it's another fucking day in the life of Odoamne, isn't it, mate? Like, this is all my career goals. So my problem is, like, I get the feeling, I don't know after this, but like, here's the thing, Wicked, they really didn't think they were going to choke, I don't think, in this playoffs. Do you think they did choke?
I don't know if they choked or if they just played like shit, right? Like, if you just go back to an example, when I played against Kaboom and we lost to Kaboom, everyone was making fun of us and said we choked, but we didn't choke. We didn't go east on them or anything either. We played our best. We actually tried, but we had a really shit day, you know? So I don't know. I mean, it's 2 best of 5s. I don't really care that much in the grand scheme of things. And like, everyone is hyping up Mad Lions right now because they won. But I actually still prefer Rogue. Like, I personally prefer Rogue, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that.
I love that. Sure. I love it. That's one of the boldest takes I've ever heard, dude. When someone's just lost 6 games in a row going, you know what? I think they're the best team, if you ask me.
No, not necessarily the best team. But
no, in Europe, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the play style. I think Rogue is still good. I think they play like shit, and I think every single player on that team is going to admit they play terrible, but it's still 6 games or whatever, you know. It's 2 best of 5s. I don't really care that much.
I mean, that's about... I wasn't... Listen, Wicked has a lot of bold takes, Spoons. I wasn't expecting that one. What are your thoughts on the Rogue disaster?
I mean, I disagree. Hot take, I think Mad Lions might be like the first or second best team in the world at the moment going into the World Championship.
In the world! Well, listen, we'll put a pin in that. Apparently everyone's going mental on this show, so we'll put a pin in that one. We'll come back later. But yeah, good thoughts on Rogue, though?
So I think, you know, Rogue, I've actually got a bit of belief in them as well, especially since they're going into play-ins now. I feel that this... If Spring Split wasn't enough, this might just be enough for them to turn on their brains and sort of practice a little bit more, sort of fix the issues, maybe put that coach of the Split award or something to good use finally, and try to fix a lot of the issues going into play-ins. I think, you know, historically, when we've seen EU teams go into play-ins and they make it out, I think they've performed above expectations. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So if they're able to do it and fix the issues that they have, maybe, you know, drill it into Larson's brain that, you know, mid lane isn't the only lane in the game. I think that's one way that they begin climbing out of the hole that they're currently in. Another way would be, you know, trying to get some sort of jungle support synergy, because, come on, when was the last time you've seen Inspired and Trimby go into the jungle together? If you're able to give me an example, first of all, you've been watching too much League of Legends, and second of all, that's probably like the one time in the entire place.
Yes, I will say that is one thing that's a bit weird if you think about like the meta and everything people talk about. Like the last 3 or 4 years of League of Legends, every talk show I do, people are just hitting me in the same way as the first like 3 or 4 years of League of Legends were like jungle mid, jungle mid, jungle mid. Like the last 4 years have been everyone going jungle support, jungle support, jungle support, jungle support. It's like, actually the jungle support synergy on this team, as you say, it almost just doesn't exist. What do you think, Wicked? Like, this is supposed to be a fundamental part of the game.
It's a fundamental part, but I don't think playing different is necessarily bad. And also they have a massive amount of time till Worlds actually happen, right? So they have so much time to fix all the issues. They get extremely exposed. They played extremely clean throughout the entire split. And now they just need to fix those issues and actually get back up to the level. And I think they'll do well, right? So it's not that hard to fix those issues. All they need is communication, move together, a little bit of practice, a couple of weeks, and I think they'll be fine.
Here's how I would frame it. Like, here's the problem, right? Since I'm not in their team house and I don't know what they're actually doing, I can't actually be as confident as Wicked is and just say, like, they'll fix it, they'll work it. For all I know, maybe they're in denial and they were like, he's just 2 bad days, and then fucking played fucking Jenga or something. I don't know what they do there. But the problem is, right, there is a level to which I sort of do still leave, like, a possibility they can actually do something at World Spoods, and it goes like this. 1, in theory, if you ever wanted a team that was in denial to have the biggest fucking wake-up call of all time, getting slapped in the face twice 3-0 would be good. Because I actually remembered thinking, by the way, when they won that series against Misfits, like, fuck, I'm actually sad they won this 5th game. Because if anything, this should have been the wake-up. Like, they were supposed to 3-0 this series, you know, 3-2, and you barely won it because of that fucking insane Viego play. Like, I hoped, like, as mad as it sounds, I always say this, if I ever think a team isn't good enough to win, win. I actually want you to sort of get really brutally beaten. So you have to like take stock of what your problem is and either figure out if it's a player, a sign of change. Because I have to say, if you're from the outside, it's easy to say it, but the problem is, I get the feeling some pro players, Spoons, they'll just be like, well, this is what got me to this point, so I'm going to stick with this style. Like, do you actually think Rogue changes when we come to Worlds?
Well, that will come down to what they do during the off-season, right? I mean, it will come down to, I guess, their motivation, which I am not the most confident about. Like, if they're able to turn around their attitudes, I think they would be able to. But sometimes you just listen to their comms in games, right? And goddamn, I swear, sometimes it just feels like Larson just does not want to be there. Like, he just wants to be in a bubble bath at home or something. So that is something they obviously need to fix. I feel like they have some motivation issues, and I feel like sometimes they're not really on the same page. Like, they don't really like each other or something. Well, that's at least the vibe that I'm getting when I listen to their comms, and it really reflects in their play as well. So that is like the fundamental building block that they have to sort out before any sort of improvement intervention goes on. So, like I said, coaching staff of the split, hopefully they put that to good use and get Rogue back on track. But I say they can do it, but I'm not entirely confident that they will.
The other thing is as well, as much as Rogue the team chalks, if I had to pick one player, and listen, I'm not blaming it on one player, but if I had to pick one player who chalks them up, Larson's easily fucking it. This guy, where is he in all these series? Dude, you play in Europe and you're the mid laner. Not only that, half the time you're on a fucking mage. Like, you are supposed to carry these games. Like, there's no excuse. You can't just go series after series and just be average. Like, if people forget, it's basically what fucked him up. Because they choked in the summer last year, like, no one has ever given him MVP hype again. That split, he actually had MVP hype, if you remember. It was between him and Caps, who was going to be the MVP because they were top of the league. I get the feeling, sadly, because fans do this, because they've now identified this weakness of Lars's, they're just going to make him seem like he's shit, dude. They're going to be like, he's just an average mid laner or something. Like, he clearly is really good. Do you agree he's good, Wicked? Do you actually think he's a top player?
I think he's good. I just think he needs to get better at roaming. Like, he got somewhat of the same problem as Froggen had, I think. They don't roam enough, they don't control the map enough. But I think individually he's extremely good. And if you can get a little bit better from the coaching staff at controlling the map more, then I think he's an excellent player. And I don't think there's anything necessarily bad about him that can't really easily be fixed, as long as he's someone you can talk to.
By the way, even though I do like Larson as a player, and for that obvious reason, as you referenced, like, Veteran sort of pointed out to me a couple of years ago when he was in EU Masters, but he is basically like the new fucking Froggen. The problem is this, though. When I first said that, it was in like some AMA, someone asked like Larson, like, Thorin says you're like Froggen, and he like tried to disagree, like, I'm not at all, because I think he just meant like, but I play a Carly or some like stupid angle out, whereas what I obviously meant was like, you know, more conservative mindset, lane focused, like smages. Now, we'll see. I apologise, Larson, you were absolutely right, you're nothing like Froggen. If I gave Froggen a fucking Oriana in all those games, he'd carry the fuck out of him, get all the CS. What are you talking about? So you are no, whatever. Listen, I do like him, but that's the flame you deserve. You have to get flamed, because here's the other thing. I won't lie. I'm also a little bit like terrible fans, except, you know, I'm a lot better looking, sexy, intelligent. In fact, I'm nothing like them, no. But in this one regard, the way I am like terrible fans is if I hype you, I'll be the first in line to fucking swing the guillotine axe to like chop your head off if you fail the series when I say you're going to win it. So if people know this, if they know CSGO, I've gone in on those Astralis players so much where they used to choke. So if they can get over it, I'll love Rogue. I actually do find them an enjoyable team to watch. But the sad thing is, unfortunately, of all the flaws you can have in the game, the idea that like maybe mentally you're a bit weak, it's sort of the one that sort of kills it for fans, I think. It makes people like, they don't want to be your fan then, unfortunately. I know it sounds harsh, but I think you'll see a lot of their players now will get called overrated, or people also, they're not even the best, or people will even ask them to be kicked maybe if they do badly at Worlds. Like, and I have to say, as much as I don't know if they'll turn it around, I definitely don't want to break this core up. What do you think, Spoods?
Well, I think, first of all, if it's true that Larson is really just in denial, that in the World Championship, I guess if anyone finds this specific video or like anything regarding Larson, is just pointing like a big red circle on the mid lane for them to say like, attack this guy and the entire team will implode. But overall, I feel like is the same point, right? Like if this team does not get it together and does not find the kind of synergy that you need, it's just really a gone case. And in that case, I would agree that G2 might have been a bit... Well, G2 or Misfits would have been a better fit going into Worlds. Obviously, Broke earned their spot, but at the form that they're playing right now, it's just not it, man.
Yes, and I will point out, if people don't know, this will sound harsh, but if you just look at the context, it's true. The reason they got their 2 world spots was each time from winning 1 best of 5. In the spring, last year it was over Mad Lions because we had 4 teams going, if you remember. And then this year they just had to beat fucking Misfits or whatever it was. Misfits. So that was it. Like they're already there. Oh no, they already were in the lower bracket. Sorry, it was the seeding thing that got them there this time. They were already dropped down. They were going to be seeded at worst 3rd because they were obviously number 1 in the city. So basically, the only reason they actually got the world spots wasn't by beating like the best team. It was they just did it from the regular season. Like that's just the format now. So I have to say, if I'm that team, also I would never be cocky about my results because like in the old formats, like when Wicked played, you just wouldn't be going to Worlds, mate. You would just go out in the semi-final or the quarter, and you just wouldn't make Worlds. There's no seeding shit gets you there. Like you have to actually be good. So I want to ask this, okay, Wicked. Right, we don't know what will happen at Worlds. Obviously, that could change massively how Rogue think about it. But would you actually consider changing any players in Rogue for next year?
Skill-wise, no. I think all the players are skilled enough. I don't know how the attitudes are behind the scenes. If the attitudes are shit or they don't like each other, as Boots maybe said, that might not, based on how they communicate with each other, then yes. It all depends, right? But skill-wise, I don't think anyone is bad. I think Lars needs to roam a little bit more. I think they need to play at a higher level than playoffs because they fucking sucked at playoffs. And then Trimby needs to play better than Inspired. And if they can fix those issues, which are relatively simple issues, if you look at it from a grand scheme of things, you look down and the players are willing to try and fix them, then I think it's a great team and I wouldn't change anyone. But if somebody hates each other and they have a lot of drama, like I've been in teams where there's internal drama and people are like, oh, this player is actually very bad. Oh my God, he sucked really hard in scrims today, And it just ruins the team, right? So it really depends on the attitudes, I think.
What do you think, Spoods? Would you change anyone?
That will really have to come down to motivation issues, right? Like if the player, like for example, the example I've used more or less throughout the entire day is Larson in the mid lane. I feel like if you really can't just get him to want to play the game, well, I'm assuming he doesn't want to play the game. If you can't get this man to really want to play the game, to find the drive that he had in that series where he almost 3-2'd G2, because I feel like he's been on a downward trend afterwards. If he is unable to find that drive again, I think it might be just time to swap him out. Sure, you can say that he's still relatively a rookie, but if as a rookie you're already this burnt out, it's really hard to justify keeping you on for all too long. Next split, obviously.
I was trying to... go on.
I agree with this. I've been in teams as well. I'm not going to mention who or anything, but I think the number one thing is motivation. And if a player is not motivated, regardless of how popular or how good he is or anything, it doesn't really matter. You should swap him out immediately because the thing is, you might get a new player that's motivated or the old player might get motivation back, right? It needs to be that you're not playing, you're not practicing, you don't want it, you need to want it to be in the team, right? I think that's one of the core principles of becoming a winner team.
Right, here's the thing. I was trying to think, actually, because even though the whole year, one of the few moves I always thought was always a viable one was, I actually wondered why they let Vander go, personally. Like, the Trimby one's the only one I don't really get. Like, I've heard basically it's because in scrims he was, like, super sick or whatever, and, like, tryout, he sort of, like, impressed them or whatever. And also, I'm assuming they think Vander's, like, too old or some shit, because they did have him for the last few years. The problem I have with that is, like, when I look at their team, the one thing they are lacking is, like, the veteran, but who could be, like, a captain, basically. Because their veterans are basically Odoamne and fucking Hans Sama, and they're not like super vocal players. Like they don't really have the personality to be like the leader, basically. And then you've got the young studs. You've got Inspired and Larson, who are like super sick skill player. So you just needed like one player. And in light of this conversation, if you could have a support player who could do any kind of shot calling, and if he could sync with Inspired, there you go. That's like step one for me. So I was thinking this through. I think a real move they should consider is they should sign Treats from SK as support. There's a move for you. I know for fans they're going to go, what the fuck are you talking about? I actually think that would be an interesting movement. Like, I would love to... Or the other option is, go to Inspired and tell him, look, you're obviously amazing, we're going to build a team around you. Tell me which support, maybe duo queue with them or something. Tell me which support you'd want to play with. Like, who would work? Because listen, realistically, the problem Rogue have also is a very unique one, by the way, which is they've signed all these players till next year, right? They've got these players nailed down, but this is actually the first core of elite players Rogue's ever had in League of Legends. So their problem is, if they don't make good use of this, they're not like G2, where in theory G2 could like kick Reckless and like assign almost anyone that will just willingly join the team. Their problem is, I don't actually know. Like, I know a fan would go, why not just sign Kaiser? It's like, maybe Kaiser doesn't want to leave Mad Lions and maybe Mad Lions won't let him go. Like, it's not actually as easy to pick players even though they're in a good position. So to me, it's like, that's why I go with like someone like Treats, or maybe you try like an ERL player, because I feel like you're probably not going to get like a massive name player to join that sport position right now.
I actually think Treats would be really good. I think Treats was surprisingly good at jungle as well. Like, he was always not insanely good, but like, come on, it's SK. You're playing with Like you're playing in solo queue in LEC basically, right? And you're playing jungle in LEC as solo queue, and your team is not really there, so you can't really perform either way. But he's really good in support. I agree with that. It's actually an interesting one.
Too much of a reach, Spoots. Would you do it?
I think, getting treats in, I think it's worth giving him a try. I think that what he brings to the table for SK in terms of vocalization, in terms of being able to work with a jungler, are very valid points that, he could elevate Rogue to the next level as well. I think, fuck it, just re-sign Vendor if he'll come back. I think he brought a form of leadership that's really lacking with Trimby. Yeah, sure. Trimby and Hans Sama, they are sort of like your once in a blue moon win condition if they just like pop off. But if it's just your bot laner going off and taking over the game, that's not really a win condition you can rely on too much, right? So if you're able to bring in the kind of leadership that Vander like treats, or even like you said, maybe somebody from the ERLs could to the table, I think it's worth taking a look at, maybe even just bringing him as a substitute and seeing how they do in scrims, right?
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.